it really should never have taken place. I mean, I always regret Cold Harbor because I had such high casualties. So, and General Lee always wishes to tell how the average height of a person is and how much casualties we had. General Lee, is it 52,000 that we had that you want to tell how far it reaches?
My sources told me that from May the 3rd until June the 3rd, through June the 3rd, your losses were 60,000 men. And can I?
Go ahead.
You know, sometimes war is glorified, and I can tell you, and I suspect that General Grant would probably respond in the same manner as this, and there's nothing, first off, there's nothing civil about war. But if I can maybe I have to draw you a picture of what happened in the Oberlin campaign from May the 3rd, when I first engaged General Grant on the battlefield. From May the 3rd and through June the 3rd, their losses were 60,000 men. That was more than my whole army. And that happened over a period of 60 miles. So if the average person is 5'2", is there anybody here 5'2" tall? Anybody here that's 5'2"?
There's a
stand up, just a hand, if you would. Okay, here's a person 5'2". Their losses were 60,000. Their losses were 60,000. If you, over 60 miles, that's 2,000 people a day. 30 days, 60,000, 2,000 people a day. But here's a way to look at it. If the average soldier, 5'2", were laid head to toe, head to toe, head to toe, they would cover that 60 miles without stopping. 60 miles worth of bodies. And that was just his. And every time that he would lose 10,000, he would just telegraph Washington and say, send me 10,000 more. And when I lost 2 or 3 or 4 or 5,000, I had no resources to recover from them. And you talk about Richmond, that whole object of that was if you recognize where Richmond is, say here, and here's my army, and there's General Grant. General Grant's moving down this way. My objective, my charge was to stay between Grant and Richmond, protecting the capital city, which, you know, sometimes you have to surrender certain things in order to accomplish the ultimate goal. In this particular case, maybe we should have moved from Richmond and taken a move to a different location, the capital, because in attempting to hold that ground, in attempting to hold Richmond at all cost, it just put our army in such a position as we weren't able to maneuver, we weren't able to do what we really wanted to do. When we went into Gettysburg, my first concern was let's go north and garner supplies, but at the same time we've got to move so cautiously that we don't let those people know that we have abandoned that area, because if we got just far enough away into the Shenandoah Valley and they recognized we were gone, they could thrust themselves upon Richmond and we couldn't get back in time. So here again, protecting that sacred ground, if you will, as so often was the case in Washington when Jubal Early was going up in the Monocacy campaign in July of 1864. He got dangerously close. He could see the steeples of Washington City, and they threw out everything they had until General Grant could respond with some reinforcements from Petersburg.
Speaking of the civil authority, what did you think of Jefferson Davis, your commander-in-chief, as a wartime president of the Confederacy?
I had served with President Davis on numerous occasions in Mexico in 1852, when I was appointed to the superintendent of West Point. He was the one who arranged for that appointment, and of course he was Secretary of War during that time. And then throughout the time that I was in military life, President at that time Senator Davis from Mississippi I had knowledge of him, and then during the war. I learned early on, and from my previous experiences with the president, that he liked to be kept abreast of what was happening. And so I managed to send a message to him every single day, and sometimes 2 or 3 times a day. And I think one of the things that upset with President Davis with other people like Joe Johnston and some of the others was General Johnston was the type of person who didn't care. I'm not going to send you a communique unless I feel like it's something I should, and he'd go 2 or 3 days, maybe a week without conferring with the president, and you just don't do that with the president. You've got to keep that. But my relations with the president were always very good. I was always welcomed at the White House, the Confederate White House.
Was he a good strategist, or did he leave that to you?
I think he tried to intervene on occasions, but he recognized that we had been successful on the field, and when it got down to it, he probably would impart his particular viewpoints. He left most of the decisions up to me.
General Grant, how was Mr. Lincoln as a superior commander, as a superior?
Well, in comparison with President